Okay, guys, does everyone know who I am? Damn, I'm good. Yeah. So I'm Sideswipe in Revenge of the Fallen, and I'm also Clawtrap and Transformers, the TV cartoon, and then I'm in the video game. Is it Devastation?
Yes.
You guys know better than I do.
Yes, Devastation.
I'm a seeker. I'm a couple other things in that too, as well. I got to look myself up and figure out who I was, but I never played the game. But the game was really great. I remember it well when I was recording it because it was very true to the original Transformers ethos. And Greg Berg will now talk to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming by. I had a very small part, but they gave me the credit on the movie Dark of the Moon, Transformers, and my character was Igor, so I was hoping they made more into it, but as Transformers keeps transforming, they add new characters here and there, so I was just thrilled, though, to be part of the franchise of all this. I did the audition for this like in December of this one year, and I thought, okay, I didn't hear much about the movie since then, and then I get a call in April saying you're going to be Igor's voice. And I was like, okay. I went in for the audition with Michael Bay, and in an odd little studio room. Nothing like a recording studio, but he did have the computers everywhere, a baffling of blocking out sound, and his microphone, and said, okay, here's your lines. And it was a little bit of grumbling, and Igor's voice was more like, Igor was the pet of one of the Decepticons, I believe. So basically, he's supposed to be like a robotic dog, I guess. So there I was going, yes, master, yes, master. And then there was more things later on, because this was many years ago, but there were more things later on that we added, and I wasn't sure that I did that or not, but somebody said, you said this, didn't you? They did some silly stuff in there later on. So that's my memory of doing this, but it was a lot of fun and great being part of it.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Jon Bailey. I also go by Epic Voice Guy on the social media stuff. I was the voice of my two all-time favorite characters. Just don't tell Optimus Prime. I was Shockwave and Soundwave in Bumblebee movie. And thank you. And Optimus Prime in Combiner Wars. And I've been Optimus Prime for a lot of other smaller projects for Hasbro. They really just like me over there. I don't know why. And so I'm, geez, I don't know how many of these I can remember, but Optimus, Megatron, Starscream, Shockwave, Grimlock, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Barricade, Swoop, Thundercracker, Skywarp, Shrapnel, Side Squad, and then obviously Shockwave, Soundwave, I mentioned them, and yeah, so there's and Brawn, I forgot Brawn's a new one for me too. So games like Transformers Top War, Transformers Mobile Legends, and a lot of non-disclosure agreement stuff, but my experience was pretty crazy. I had been doing just, when I first decided I wanted to be a voice actor, I was like, do anything you can to put yourself out there, which is what a lot of people are, you know, when the creation of Instagram and TikTok, they finally figured out, oh, I can put this out there and people will hear it. I was doing that when YouTube first started, 2007, and I just kind of fell into the YouTubemus Prime category. Everybody's like, oh, you're the guy who does Optimus Prime on YouTube. And that came to being other stuff later on, and eventually I had ran into the popularity of Honest Trailers on YouTube kind of like helped other companies know who I was. So when Machinima came over to the Hasbro booth, which I went over there every year to just network and check out the new toys and just talk to the folks, because I'd done voices for Star Wars for the toys. So I had kind of a like, oh, I know you, I worked on the thing. And they were like, oh, we're working on a new, I said, I heard you guys are working on a new Transformers series. And he's like, dude, yeah, can we get your contact info? I was like, absolutely. And the next thing I know, they didn't even audition. They were just like, we would like you to be the voice of Optimus Prime for our show. I'm like, holy crap, I get to be the voice of Optimus Prime. So that was like my, and also I love anime, so getting to work on a Transformers anime was freaking cool. And then after that was recorded, they're like, Hasbro really likes you. We have other projects we like you to do. And I was like, wow, okay. But I always have a rule. If it's a character that already has an established actor, you know, don't take the role unless they can or won't. So I always double check. But then there's also the new characters that I've been able to do. So it's been crazy going from being on that side of this table to being on this side of this table. So thank you all so much. So thanks for coming. All right, guys, let's go.
Excellent introduction. So, does anybody have any questions for them? The way the system is set up, the best way to do this is to have you guys line up. I'm going to ask you to do that thing you don't want to do and do some discretionary intervals.
6 feet apart.
Yes, please. So come on up. The other thing is I have to hold the microphone, so my apologies on that one. Yeah, come on up. Excellent. Hi.
Oh, sorry. Hi. My name is Val. I have a question for all three of you. What's your favorite behind-the-scenes moment with your fellow voice actors?
Wow, holy crap, that's a big one. Your favorite behind-the-scenes moment with your fellow voice actors? Your favorite behind-the-scenes moment.
Behind-the-scenes moment.
With
Transformers.
With fellow voice actors.
Of anything as a voice actor. Wow, that's
I've got a good one if you need a
broad
second.
question.
I got a good one if you need a second.
Behavior.
On the Transformers stuff you work.
Oh, on Transformers. Okay, so yeah, this one is Transformers related. So I'm still fairly new at this business. I've only been at this for 14 years now, which is it sounds like a lot, but I'm still a rookie. And when they had called me in to do the ADR for Bumblebee movie, I had auditioned for other characters previously outside of the stage, but nothing had happened. It had been weeks, and I'm like, okay, at least I give it a shot. While I was there, I come and sit down, and it's Steve Blum and Greg Griffin in the waiting room, and I'm like, holy crap, I felt like a freaking voice actor sandwich, like an Oreo cookie between these two legends. And, you know, that's Arcee, and that's freaking Starscream, and, you know, dozens of other characters. And they brought out a clipboard, and like, we just need to know other characters that you've booked before. And unfortunately, I'd only booked Optimus, but I'd done tons of Transformers because I'd been a fan since I was a kid. And Steve Blum, bless his heart, he's like, done it, didn't do it, done it. So there's only like 2 or 3 guys left over. And he's like, bro, I see you coming in here. You're just like, you're right there, man. You're like waiting in the wings. You're making it, dude. I was like that. Just the two of them acting like I belonged there. That was just a mind-blowing moment. And it took everything I had not to fangirl out. It was so hard. I just wanted to go.
Well, I didn't get to work with actors for Transformers because they called me in just for the one particular character. But part of that fun time was getting to meet Michael Bay. And one other thing that happened within the session, he plays the sound for me. And of what I did back in December, and here it was April, he says, do this voice. And I just kind of looked at him, and then he says, that is you, isn't it? Because I do multiple voices. And anywhere between December and April, I might have done another 100 somewhere in between there for auditions. So I just looked at him and said, yeah, okay. And then he says, that is you, isn't it? I said, sure it is, yeah. But, I mean, he would have spoken up if there was a big difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grey DeLisle has entered the building.
Yay!
We were just singing your praises.
Sorry, oh my gosh, what is yes.
So, yeah.
Voice actress, singer.
So,
yeah.
were you
so,
done? Go.
Basically, that was the story behind that. But I didn't have to meet other voice actors, but I've been in the business for 40 years now, and met so many great people, and glad to be part of it, and entertain all of you with whatever they can throw at me.
So let's see. There's so many when you think in a Broadway, but two that one we'll start with the Transformers one, which was I had booked Sideswipe for the film, and then they kept postponing the session, coming back, going away, coming back, and by the time they called for the job, I was in New York. So they brought me into a studio in New York, but Michael Bay was out here. But as Greg describes, like there's like computers everywhere, but I couldn't see. So I've met Michael Bay, but never in person. So if you guys remember that was the second film. There had been a writer's strike. So so I know a lot of the hardcore Transformers fans kind of complain about the script of that movie because it was kind of all over the place. And he had already animated all the robots, I think. He just animated all kinds of action and stuff and then was sort of throwing a script up to picture from what I hear and what I gathered during the session. But it was fun because it was like being, because again, I never met him in person, it was like being with a really enthusiastic, hyperactive teenager who had like all this tech. And so we just had like all these different lines, but then I'm seeing it on the screen and he's like, okay, try this. And then I would just throw up a line and then you'd hear, awesome, go! And then so it was really fun and very collaborative because we got to just sort of throw up different lines and that one. And then, you know, my favorite scene is the one I'm in. Even if it wasn't me, I love that Sideswipe sequence because it's so clean and like, it's very specific and short. There's incredible action in the Transformers movies, but they're always like lots of crashing robots and all of that. And that one is just like he's going through town and then he has, damn, I'm good. And he's out. It's just really perfect. So that was what was really fun about it was just, you know, it was the sort of enthusiasm of the guy on the other end of the microphone and also, you know, you're just sort of seeing what fits because it is. That's what we all do in a lot of ways when you're doing what's called ADR, post. You're making puzzle pieces with sound. And so you've got to figure out what fits, especially with those, what fits the movement, the action, what comes in. And so I think I can't really take credit, but Damn I'm Good might be mine. Just saying. I don't. I think we threw up a bunch of different lines. It might have been his, might have been mine.
You
but
broke the
really,
strike line,
yeah,
Andre.
yeah,
I think that's what you're saying.
It just comes out so naturally to me to say that I'm sure it was mine, you know. But and then something Greg and I both worked on. You asked behind the scenes. We had the honor of helping with the restoration of Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which you're too young to know that movie, but it's a very famous Clint Eastwood Western. It's almost like legendary, like, you know, it's like you're getting to paint a piece of the Sistine Chapel, and they were restoring sequences that had not been in the American cut of the movie when it was first released, and so I had to match Clint Eastwood's voice, but they didn't have the original script. All they had were these scenes, and so they had this terrible script that didn't fit the picture. And I think you did Lee Van Cleef, right?
No, I didn't. I never got anything on that because
Oh, I thought you did work on that.
we auditioned together, and you got the.
I got Clint.
Oh,
but
brought up his pain, Andre.
We had to shut. Basically, the script was so bad that they had because they didn't know Clint Eastwood had been in, but Clint Eastwood now kind of sounds like that. You know, he's 80 years old or what. And so I was having to match Clint Eastwood at the age of 36. And, you know, Clint just whispers all the time. So that was always Clint's kind of thing. So we finally, you know, and it's rare that a voice actor would ever mouth off except for me, you know. But I finally said, this is horrible. This isn't going to work. Let's just shut off everything and let's take time and lip read. I don't care. I've got all day because this, you don't want to screw this. So we literally just like sat there and we knew the gist of what the scenes were about and we were just lip reading and figuring out exactly what he was saying. And it really fit. And it was really, really, really fun. And again, it was like very collaborative. Me, the post guys, the guys from Sony, everybody that was working on it. And we really got it right. So it was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it in, bro.
Well, no, that's fun with me because I have done many other ADR movie projects, so usually they go very well.
ADR's fun.
But I can't remember any bad experiences with things I get. So I'm one of those spiritual people that like, if the right thing comes along, it's gonna reach me some way or another, and if it's gonna go bad some way or another, I don't get it. So been very fortunate. Thank you.
I want to tell. Can I tell my Michael Bay story? Yeah,
So the question, what's your favorite behind-the-scenes voiceover moment? But first, let's introduce
Grey DeLisle. Grey
everyone.
Griffin, guys. Jeez.
Yay! Oh,
Standing ovation.
Oh God! No! Oh my God! No, but
You're not worthy.
I eavesdrop on everyone at airports and stuff, and I was taking a flight, and gets back to Transformers, believe me. But I was in the thing, and there was this guy and girl kind of hitting it off and like kind of falling in love, and I was just waiting, and I was pretending to read my Badass magazine, but I was like listening to everything, and I'm like, that's so cute. They planned their date, like they both found out that they lived in Burbank, because we were landing in another, I don't remember, like Salt Lake or something, but then she sat up in first class, and he sat back by me, and he like got on the phone with his friend and was like, I just hit on this girl, oh my god, I told her I had a boat and everything, but I want to use Charlie's boat, and we can, and I'm gonna, and he was just like, he was a jerk. He turned from like this really nice guy to this total jerk.
Wow.
And I was like, I gotta tell that girl, oh my god, I gotta tell that girl. But I was like, oh, it's not my business, I need to stay in my business. But then I was like, if the opportunity arises, I've got to say something, So anyway, I was in the bathroom in Salt Lake, and I'm, washing my hands, and out from the stall comes the girl from the thing, and I'm like, oh my god, and it was just us, and I was like, I have to tell you something. And she was like, what? And I go, I saw the whole thing with the guy in the airport, and he seemed really nice, but I have to tell you, I just heard a whole conversation with his friend, and he's just full of shit, and he's just an asshole. And you cannot, and she was like, oh my god, thank you so much. And she goes,
Hero.
She goes, I wish that I could do something for you. And I was like, no. I said, I was carrying this, like, I was like, all the way here, I was like, oh my god, that poor girl, I feel so bad. So anyway, I was like, so I feel so good. So anyway, a few years later, Revenge of the Fallen auditions come out. And I'm like, oh, and then I get to like the top few people, I think. And I go all the way out to Michael Bay's studio and everything, and I was terrified because everybody said, like, oh, he's mean, but he was really, really nice to me. Yeah, he was really nice. I don't know, I was just so ready to be yelled at, but I was ready. I was gonna do it, whatever. Anyway, but I get there into the lobby, and this pretty girl comes out, and she's like settling everything in, and then she's like, you look so familiar to me. And I was like, I know. And I was like, I don't do on camera, so I don't know, but yeah, you look familiar to me too. And we're going back and forth, and finally she was like, oh my god, Burbank the airport, the guy, and I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like, she's like, I set up a whole date, and he just waited at that bar all night, I never even showed up, and I was like, oh god, I'm so glad, so we were laughing, and she's like, remember when I said I wished I could do something for you? And I go, yeah, and she's like, I mean, I don't have a ton of power, but you might get this part.
Yay!
I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but anyway, so. Sorry, long answer. I don't know if that was kind of behind the scenes.
I had the opposite experience with Michael Bay. He was so chill. It was like really.
I mean, he probably is like, God damn, I have to be nice to everybody for the rest of my life to just make up for all the internet gossip.
I thought you were going to say the guy was Michael Bay. Like, oh no!
Oh my god!
I'm pretty sure he does have his own boat. He didn't have to borrow Charlie's.
Yeah, Charlie's like, why is Michael borrowing my boat all the time? He's so rich. Okay.
It's slightly bigger.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions.
Yes.